George. But if you won't talk sense, don't talk at all.
Hello, boys.
No, Mother. So if you don't mind, I'll have my chocolate.
Any more of that and you'll get a slap beating.
He's too being as plaguey as usual, Mary. You go and say hello to your father. Oh, Mary, I shall be taking George and Jack round to the
Hello,
grounds
boys.
again, so can you be sure to have their suitcases packed for Friday morning? And Mary, I wish we didn't have to leave the pram in the hallway. There's no room for my flowers.
I think the pram more beautiful than the flowers.
Dear Sir, thank you for the copy of your article about my works. Your estimate of the importance of my stories and plays is a absurdly high one, and does more credit, my dear sir, to your heart than to your head. But it is all very kind. And now, turn your pen to an author of real worth, such as Ibsen, whom I assure you is a mighty man. Yours sincerely, J M Barrie.
Exhausting day. I've never seen so many people in Whitelet. I can't think what they were all doing there. Like Ascot Week in September. Hello, darling Porthos. Hello. Do you think it's all to do with the Jubilee? I suppose it must be. Well, at the risk of sounding unpatriotic, I can't wait for London to return to normal. Finish the chapter? What is it, Jim? Well?
I thought we'd agreed no interviews.
Well, it wasn't an interview. He just asked me a few questions, that's all. Oh, Jim. A few harmless questions about gardening. Why make such a fuss?
I do not wish to have our lives paraded in public.
Good God, you're a fine one to talk. What do you spend your entire life doing?
I've never given an interview in my life.
Well, there wouldn't be much point. There's nothing left to interview. You spread us like jam on every page you write.
Well, that's my affair.
You might at least warn people. You needn't say anything, but anything you do say may be taken down and used as grist to my mill. Oh, I'm sorry. Darling, the fact is, I was as angry as you when I read the article. I asked him not to refer to me as an actress. I said I was your wife. A very loving one at that.
Let's have a look. Oh.
Have one.
Oh, it's all right. Get some arnica ointment in that. It'll be all right as rain as soon as we get home. That's all right. I put that over. That's right.
Bite me, so you needn't think it. He's not going to bite me. Is he going to bite me?
Not unless you ask him agreeably.
Why Why not?
Because he's uncommon fussy about who he bites. He doesn't just bite any old whippersnapper, you know.
Am I a whippersnapper? How do you do that?
Winnie whippersnapper. Small boy. Young and insignificant person. Presuming or intrusive child. Orange unk. Couldn't have written it better myself. Well, small boy, does that answer your question?
No, small man. It does not. You still haven't told me how you do that thing with your thingamajig.
Pluck out the heart of my mystery, would you? Very well, I'll tell you. But on one condition.
Yes?
Have a good memory.
No. I mean, yes.
You come here every day?
Most days. Except for Thursdays. That's Mary's day off. Now go on, show me how
Mary?
She's our nurse. Now show me how you do it.
Just a minute. We haven't struck our bargain yet. Now, you listen to me carefully. The next time you're in the Kensington Gardens, just before lockout time, I want you to leave 4 safety pins, a piece of chocolate, and an acorn wrapped in a penny stamp under this root here. This one, just by the rabbit hole.
What for?
Don't ask questions. Just do as I say.
But what do you want them for?
Did I say they were for me?
George! Coming! All right. Now tell me how you do it.
Very well. If this was taught me by a pirate by the name of Swarthy, as villainous a creation as one could ever hope to meet on the South China Seas. And if you...
Coming!
You're locked in for the night if you don't come right this minute.
Go on, then. I'll tell you some other time. On, run along. They catch you in here after lockout time, there's no saying what mischief they'll do to you.
They?
George!
Coming! Aren't you coming too?
No, I have some matters to attend to.
But it's lockout time.
Just so. Good night to you. Oh. Thank you. Story about a boy who disappears. The reader never knows who or what he was.
Who's that?
Oh, just another dog. Come on, I'll race you to the gate.
No, I was absolutely sure I would hate it. When we got to New York, I hid in my cabin. There were so many reporters. It was only when Charles Froman told me they'd come to see Ellen Terry that I consented to leave the boat at all. Rather red-faced, too, I can assure you.
Between you and me, Lady Lewis, they looked on him as rather a swell. Except his socks didn't match, I'm glad to say.
Mind you, they were rather struck by the beauty of my voice. Strangely enough, I've only ever met one other person who loved my voice, and I'm sure you can all guess who that is.
Your mother?
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to.
I remember when I was an actress once, I told a reporter I'd been starring in London for 6 weeks, and when I read what he'd written the next day, he'd put Mary Ansell has been starving in London for 6 weeks. And I didn't think anybody knew.
Tommy and Grizzle revise. A bald-headed man with few hairs carefully spread over his head like fiddle strings.
They've never read a word that Jim... I hear you're going to write a sequel to Sentimental Tommy. It isn't.
Am I?
Do tell me, does Tommy marry Grizzle?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Oh, do let them. I'm sure they're absolutely made for each other. I've read Tommy 3 times. I couldn't put it down. John's read it too, haven't you, dear?
I have indeed.
I think it's a rare masterpiece. I mean it.
I didn't contradict you, man. You're being watched. Who are they for?
For Peter.
A bird?
A boy.
Baby boy?
10 months.
I was right. They're for a bird.
Really?
Oh, yes. All babies are birds, if they did but know it.
You seem to know a lot about it.
You could say I'm something of an authority.
You've got children yourself?
Yes, 1 or 2. No, I exaggerate. 1.
A boy?
A dog.
I see. And that makes you an authority.
Oh, decidedly. I've always held that boys and dogs have much in common. Except dogs have a keener sense of humor. What else can I tell you?
Oh, I do so. What do you say to a boy when he won't take his castor oil?
Oh, that's easy enough. Just tell him he'll squeak if he doesn't. Might even rust up altogether.
Why didn't I think of that?
Because you're not a writer.
Oh, this is my husband.
Llewelyn Davies.
Barrie.
I'm Sylvia Llewelyn Davies. You know my brother,
Do I?
Joe Llewelyn.
Ah, yes. No, I've never had the pleasure.
Oh, would you like me to introduce you?
No. To tell you the truth, I don't get on too well with actors. Better off with dogs.
Davis here, Jack. Forgive me.
Oh, not all children, by any means. Some rank as arch enemies. Usually the ones I care for most. I've always held boys to be their finest when they're at their most heartless.
You haven't got any of your own.
Well, yes and no. I do have a boy. Rather a depraved one, I'm happy to say, but he's not exactly mine. Thank you.
You've adopted him.
Well, you could say that. At any rate, he calls me father from time to time, which rather melts me to hear him say it, especially in toy shops when I go in to buy Portos, the toy, the dog. And of course, the shopkeeper always thinks that I'm George's father. And I'm always a tremble whether to linger that I might have more of it or whether to snatch him away before he volunteers the information. Actually, he's not really my father.
Tell me, this boy of yours, George,
Yes.
does he have brothers?
Yes, 2.
Jack and Peter?
That's right.
And you meet them in the Kensington Gardens with their nurse?
Every day.
Except Thursdays, which is her day off?
Correct.
Mr. Barrie, I'm sorry to be the one to have to tell you this, but your boy's father is sitting next to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I propose a toast to the Queen, to the Empire, to all of you here, a very happy and prosperous 1898. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mr. and Mrs. Arthur. New Year,
Happy New Year,
Mary.
Mary.
Is anything wrong?
No, only Master George. He pulled out that tooth of his and he couldn't get to sleep, so I've had to give him a
I hope it
draught.
hasn't spoiled your evening too much.
Not at all. I was only doing the mending. Would either of you like a cup of something?
Not for me, thank you.
No, thank
I've
you.
just gone up and see that George is all right.
I think you might be needing this.
I won't be a moment. Good night, Mr. Arthur.
Good night, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Shh. Go to sleep.
Did you get tipsy?
Just nicely, thank you. By the way, I met a friend of yours.
Who?
Your friend, Mr. Barrie.
Hmm?
The man you meet in the Kensington Gardens.
Hmm?
The man with the dog.
Oh, him.
Did you know he was a famous writer?
No. But he can wiggle his ears.
Happy New Year.
Don't shut the door.
You're a dreadful woman. I mean...
Happy New Year.
Oh, it's good to be home.
Poor Thos. Oh, my darling. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I think he's been drinking too. That's enough. Have you been celebrating with your little girlfriend next door? Hmm? How about a little nightcap? Huh?
I don't see why. I was just taking a
Oh,
walk.
come on. We can sleep till luncheon. It's New Year's Day. And then tomorrow I thought we might go for a drive in the country.
I know.
Sir George has been telling me about a cottage he's found near Farnham. It sounds exactly what I've been looking for. I thought we might go and look at it tomorrow.
You and Sir George, eh?
Don't be silly. You and me. What were you flirting with?
Oh, just a friend of a friend.
Hmm? What friend?
You don't know him?
Her husband?
No.
She is married.
Yes, respectably.
Who is she?
She's one Sylvia Llewelyn Davies.
Hmm?
Wife of one Arthur Llewelyn Davies. Daughter of one George de Maurier. Sister of one Gerald de Maurier.
We don't know the de Mauriers.
No, I didn't say we did.
You said she was a friend of a friend.
I was referring to her son.
How old is her son?
Well, he tells me it's just chimed 6 of the clock, but... Well, you know how boys lie about their age. What's so funny?
You.
I think I'd better have another go at that chapter, you know. Poor Tommy. Yes, you pop up to bed. I'll be up later.
You know you don't have to have that book finished for another 6 months.
I know, but I'm in the mood. Only nights when I'm in the mood. Poor Tommy. He was still a boy. He was ever a boy, trying sometimes as now to be a man. But always when he looked round, He saw his boy holding out its arms to him and calling him back to play. He was so fond of being a boy that he could not grow up. In a younger world, where there were only boys and girls, he might have been a gallant figure. If he could have loved in this way, no one would have been more loved than she. He knew it was tragic that such love as hers should be given to him. What more could he do than he was doing? He could not make himself anew. And boys cannot love. Oh, is it not cruel to ask a boy to love?
You'll have to go a long way before you catch up with my bowling analysis of the last year. It was the most spectacular of the season. 3 overs, 283 runs, 3 wides, no wickets.
I think it's just another tiger moth. It might be a death's head.
Uh-huh.
Can I put it in your pocket for safety?
Yes, but mind you don't go to sleep in my pipe like the last one. I wonder why the tobacco tasted so strange. Not unpleasant, mind. I'm told that in Arabia it's considered a rare delicacy.
There's something else, too. I found them in old Solomon's cave. Do you think the fairies left them for me?
Left what?
Nothing.
Well, what is it?
Shall I? The fairies left them for me.
Fairies.
You don't believe in them, I take it.
No. Why should I?
Well, it's up to you, of course. But I can tell you this. Every time a small boy says, I don't believe in fairies, there is a fairy somewhere in the world that falls down dead.
He's right, you know.
Oh, love me, I must have killed tons of them. Let's have a look.
Yes, they're panpipes. They've certainly been left by the fairies. Who knows? They might even have been left by the great god Pan himself.
Wait a minute! Those aren't Pan's pipes. Look, they're Peter's. They're the ones Peter got in his stocking at Christmas.
All right, then. Peter Pan's.
Who's Peter Pan?
Who's Peter? What? Everybody knows who Peter Pan is.
Well, I don't. And I think you've just made him up.
And I think you stole those pipes from our nursery.
Absolute poppycock.
How'd they get here then?
Well, I expect... I dare say Peter left them behind when he flew back.
Flew?
Oh, ye of little faith, why do you think your mothers, why do you think your loving parents, indeed, put bars on the nursery windows to keep you from flying away, of course?
But we haven't got bars in our windows.
Ah, well, there you have it, you see. All children were birds once. So I expect Peter's still got itchy shoulders and likes to fly about at night.
But we can't fly.
Therein the tragedy. You lost your faith. The only reason that birds can fly and we can't, that they have perfect faith. For to have faith is to have wings.
I don't think I believe you.
Why not, Tree?
Well, how can a bird turn into a baby?
How can a caterpillar turn into a butterfly?
So slobs, Mr. Knightle.
Childless man meets boy in gardens, a la George himself. Scheme to burrow under his mother's influence, take him from her, make him utterly mine. I work hard to retain his love, but soon he'll grow out of me. Important to stress this, the knowing that it can't last. Boy's mother. Use Sylvia as model. A woman who'll always look glorious as a mother. Nose tip tilted, crooked smile. A woman to confide in. No sex in this. We feel it in both man and woman. the secrets of motherhood you feel behind those calm eyes.
Before they become babies. Peter was white-bird too, and his mother barred the windows. That's why I could... Hey, Jack's eaten all the cheese. They're my favourites.
Oh, you shouldn't talk so much.
Will you jolly well watch out? So, he flew away to the Kensington Gardens because he didn't want to grow up and work in a boring office and things. He just wanted
Could call my story about George the little white bird.
The lost boys in Old Solomon Court. Old Solomon
George thinks book all about him.
babies.
Mother sees through this.
That's a baby, you write to him.
Knows it's about me.
That's how people have babies. Mr. Barrie says so.
Perhaps if I gave the letter to Mr. Barrie, he might deliver it for me.
I'll see that he gets it in person.
But if you want a girl this time, for heaven's sake, don't ask for one. Or he'll send you another boy. What sort of bird should we choose for her? Mr. Barrie says ours are Robin. He sounds such a gallant fellow.
Hold still a moment. What do you think Peter was?
Oh, Peter's different. You see, he's only half human. That's when he lives in our nursery. The other half lives on the island. And Mr. Barrie says one day he might fly away altogether, so he can be a boy forever and always. Too late for me and Jack.
Jack and I.
Jack and me, we're done for.
Let's talking and finish your tea.
But I finished. Can I get done, please? I want to show Mother my caterpillars.
Then say your grace first.
Thanks for the tea.
Oh, that wasn't much of a grace.
Wasn't much for tea either. Jack's eaten it all.
If you go on stuffing like that, Jack, you'll be sick tomorrow.
I'll be sick tonight.
Ah! And you'll be the one who clears up the mess.
What are you writing?
Just something you said.
Something funny?
Well, it might raise a smile in the gallery. Might even pay you for it.
How much?
Well, what do you think it's worth?
At least a shilling.
Tell you what I'll do. I'll make you a sporting offer. I'll give you a shilling. Now, there's an end of it. Or I'll pay you a halfpenny for every night of the play that I used it in. The choice is yours.
Mother,
Yes, dearest?
what do you think?
Well, you see, it all depends on whether you think Mr. Barrie's play is going to be a success or not.
In that case, I'll take the money.
Wise fellow.
Sylvia, dear, you haven't seen my cufflinks, have you? The blue and gold ones. I could have sworn I put them on the dressing table. Mr. Barrie?
Oh, Jimmy's been out with the boys in the park. He's just dropped in for a cup of tea.
Ah. Yes. My cufflinks. I can't think what on earth I did
Have you
with
looked
them.
in the sewing room?
Good idea. Evening, boys.
Evening, Father.
Sylvia, dear, don't you think you ought to be getting ready? You know what the traffic can be like.
Yes. You two boys, come on. Time for benches in bed.
Will you come up and tell us a story?
Get upstairs, you thundering curmudgeons. I'll take you around the room.
I must try that myself one day. Would you like a drink? I'm quite sure you could do with one after those two all afternoon. They can be quite a handful, especially George. Oh, I only hope it's a girl next time for a change.
Why, you seem so good at boys.
Yes, I know. Oh, whiskey?
Thank you.
Arthur would so dearly love to have a girl, though. You know what fathers are like. Did you have many brothers and sisters yourself?
Yes, one or two, or 8 or 10, I forget which. Anyway, all of us in one cottage.
Oh, your poor mother.
Don't be.
Thank you.
At least she had a bed to herself. We boys had to take it in turns. Remember, it was the same with the sugar. 1 lump between 8 of us. Oh, really? Really? Mother used to tie the lump from a piece of string and hang it from the ceiling. And at tea time, we boys would swing the lump and dunk it from cup to cup, always starting with the eldest. I think I must have been about 10 years of age before I had my first taste of sugar. Probably why I've had a sweet tooth ever since. David. I'm sorry. David was my mother's favourite son, but he was killed in an accident when he was 12.
How dreadful.
Oh, not really. Not much happens to us after we're 12. But it was a terrible blow to my mother. I remember. Oh, yes, the only method I devised to make her forget about David was to get her to tell me stories about her own girlhood. Indeed, I learned so much about her that the other day when George was asking me about my childhood, I found myself telling him about hers instead of mine. I sometimes wonder if I'll ever be able to write a story without that little girl wandering confidently through its pages. But of course, I never really made her forget. After all, he had the advantage.
Why?
Because when I grew rusty and became a man, he was still a boy of 12. I will...
Go on.
No, there's no more to tell.
I trust I'm not interrupting.
Darling, of course you're not.
You were right about the cufflinks. Under the things on the ironing board. I can't think how they got there.
I expect you left them in your shirt.
Yes, I expect I did. And, how's Mrs. Barrie?
Oh, she jogs along, thank you.
You must bring her round to dinner one evening.
Yes. Yes. Well, if I'm going to tell those boys a story, I'd better be cutting along.
I'll come and help you.
No. I don't want to be in trouble, and I know the way. Come on, old fellow.
Oh, poor Jimmy.
What's poor about him?
He's been telling me all about his childhood, his brother David and his mother.
Margaret Ogilvy?
Oh, he's told you, too.
Not personally. But for the modest price of 4 shillings, you can buy the whole heartbreaking story at any railway bookstall. I gather it's made him a small fortune.
Oh. Still, I can't see anything wrong at all in making a fortune. Papa did very nicely out of Trilby.
I suppose you invited him in.
Why? Do you mind?
Well, it is beginning to get a little out of hand, isn't it?
Not that I've noticed.
I mean, all this following the boys around like a sort of lapdog. If he's so fond of children, why doesn't he have a few of his own?
I expect there are reasons.
I don't doubt it.
Why should that matter to you?
Because it does matter to me, that's why. I get little enough time with the boys as it is. Besides, what right has he got? Wandering in here day in and day out as if he owned the place.
I invited him in.
Well, you didn't yesterday, because yesterday I was the only one here.
Yesterday, you invited him in.
Well, one tries to be civil.
I don't see what you're making such an issue about. I mean, Jimmy's a friend of the boys. They're friends of his. It all seems perfectly reasonable to me.
Well, it doesn't to me. Nor to 1 or 2 other people come to that. To be perfectly frank, they find the whole thing rather odd.
What's so odd about it, for heaven's sake?
You know perfectly well what I mean. I mean odd. It's unhealthy.
I'm not too sure I do know what you mean. But if it's what I think you mean, I'd say you were being a very poor judge of character. Which I know you not to be.
I'm not suggesting anything like that, of course. I dare say he's a decent enough sort of fellow, really. I just wish he wouldn't carry on as if... well... as if he owned them.
Oh, yes. Please, God, grant me a pair of knickerbockers.
Well, careful, you knock my false tooth out.
Well, it'll serve you right. Mother says you smoke far too much. And one day you cough yourself into 1,000 pieces.
Oh, it wasn't the cough that carried me off, 'twas the coffin that carried me off in. I remember my father always used to say that. If you go on coughing like that, Jimmy, you'll cough your insides out. No, I never took any notice. And one day, do you know what he did? He teach me a lesson. he went down to old Thomas, the butcher, and he bought up 6 pounds of sheep's innards. And he stole into my room, and he put them on my pillow, so that when I woke up in the morning, I'd think I'd coughed my insides out.
Did you?
Well, when I went down to breakfast looking mighty white, my father said to me, "Well, Jimmy, you didn't cough out your insides last night." I said, "Ah, Father, that I did. But with the grace of God and the help of a teaspoon, I put them all back again."
Less noise and you'll wake up Peter. Come on, into bed.
Oh, Mr. Barrie was going to tell us another story.
Bless me, child. How many more do you want?
Something she'd like to tell us, nurse.
Any more of your pert replies, young man, and you'll get my Gregory powder on the end of your tongue.
It's all right, Mary. I'll see them into bed.
Oh, very good, Mrs. Arthur. They're all ready. They've said their prayers.
Thank you, Mary.
George praying. O God, grant me a pair of knickerbockers.
Good night, Mrs. Arthur.
Good night, Mary.
Mrs. Arthur. Mrs. Arthur.
Mr. Barrie's been telling us most awful Chrissy stories. Please can't he stay and tell us just one more?
Quite sure he's had enough of you both for one evening.
Don't I get a kiss?
Oh, right, but if Father tries it, I'll kick him.
You going out for long?
No, no. You'll be quite safe. Nothing can harm you once the night lights are lit. Despite what Mr. Barrie might have told you.
Fudge, I'm not scared.
Good night. Sweet
Night,
dreams.
Mother. My dog frock.
Come on, old boy, come on. Knock me down.
No, I always...
Don't shut the door.
Yes, that reminds me. Mary and I are thinking of buying a place in the country, somewhere for Porthos to grow in, which he seems to do about 6 inches a night. And we were wondering if you'd perhaps all like to come down in the summer.
Sounds marvellous.
Jack. Jack. Do you think he'll be all right?
Who?
Peter, of course. You don't think he'll fly away?
Of course not. Go to sleep.
George. George!
Mary's left the window open. Perhaps you'd better close it.
All right.
I bet there are cannibals in this island.
Come on, Peter.
He's hard. He's a bit small.
Right, now you're in approximately the right position, so... Right. Wait a minute, I'm not quite ready yet. Yes, That's right. Jack, that silly little act. Look at that. Look, see my good. Look out better. Oh, it's not heavy. Pirate skeleton. Now you're ready. And remember. Right. Turn around. Drop back.
Come
Peterkin, I salute you. Welcome to the Coral Island.
Hooray! Come on, we can get up here. It's not deep. Ooh. Ah!
Oh, well done, sir.
Barry's gonna kill us, you fool!
What's he to do with all these pictures?
Crocodile's teeth there. Bit big. Well, I don't think you get crocodiles here anyway.
Shh, Mr. Barrie's around here somewhere. We'll try and ambush him.
Peter will be all right? Yeah, of course he will.
Look, coconuts!
Oh! There's no... You can't! You're falling!
Now, what are we going to do for Mary Hodgson when she arrives?
Let's dig a trap!
You think that'd be a
Like
good
those
idea?
ones they use in India for the tigers.
Then we can eat her for breakfast.
We'll probably be sick.
She tastes like an old boot. Stop throwing it on my head.
She is an old boot.
Let's just make it really deep, then we can cover it over and she'll fall in.
Not too deep. We'll never be able to get her out. Just so that she trips and breaks her leg.
Let's have a nice round. Go on, along with her. The night's just right, then get you all infected. Lure into the pit, now's your chance. Go on, quick. Come, Mary.
Come on, Mary, we've been doing something over here.
What have you been doing?
We've been chopping trees.
I get very bad run, you lot.
Oh, it does seem such a pity. Hunt thinks we might be able to save it if we replanted it round the other side.
Say what?
My magnolia. It's not getting nearly enough sun where it is, and Hunt says it'll die before the summer's through.
Yes. No. Take them both off.
Then why don't you move it?
Why?
A little less noise there, boy. Shh, Mr. Barrie's trying. Mr. Barrie's trying to work.
Yeah, come on, take them both off.
I don't want to, it's silly.
Come on.
Why?
Well, look, we've got 4 and 4.
Where do you think is the best place for the sunken garden?
Wherever you like,
I
dear.
was wondering if the nut walk mightn't be a good
I
idea.
think we should leave them on.
Or perhaps,
Let's take them
at the top by the pines, you know, where the foxgloves are. We hardly ever use it, Hunt thinks if we die
Mary?
out...
Sideways, though. They don't get mixed up.
Why don't you do whatever you like, and I'm sure it'll all be quite splendid.
I do like to have your opinion as well.
I'm getting bored of this. What about that podcast?
George, dear.
Father, will you come and play a game with me? Yes?
What do you think of that?
It's a bit rummy, isn't it? What's it supposed to be?
It's supposed to be a message at a bottle.
For us?
No. It's bread and butter. Mr. Froman expects delivery at the end of the month.
Perhaps I'd better write it out properly for him, so as people can read it.
I suppose you presume to think that your handwriting is better than mine, hmm?
I should jolly well hope so. If I wrote like that at school, old Milky would have a fit.
Oh, school's different. They don't pay you to write there, you pay them. I remember when I was at school, I had the most beautiful copperplate in the whole class.
What went wrong?
Became a writer. The moment someone paid me to write for a living, my beautiful copperplate went whistling down the wind, like my smile.
I could teach you to write again, if you'd like me to.
Capital idea. You do the writing, I'll do the thinking.
I'm not a very fast writer, mind you.
Well, I'm not a very fast thinker, so we should make a terrific team. Let's see, where was I? Ernest. What's... Message and soda bottle, Ram's cork home. Yes. Right. Just, Ernest, just put a capital E, that'll do fine.
Ready?
Now, wait a minute. Time to think yet. Ernest, message, bottle. Yes, I have it. Post. Right. Ernest, just capital E.
Done that bit.
Good. Now, I have a notion that this next line may strike you as rather amusing, so pay careful attention. Ernest hands Crichton, capital E. Ernest hands Crichton the message in the bottle and says, "Tide's going out, Crichton. We mustn't miss the post." You got that?
Nearly. Miss the post. Right, ready?
Well,
I'm ready to write the funny bit now.
you just had it.
Oh.
Yes, well, I dare say it lost something in the translation.
I suppose you're just not in a very funny mood. I was in a funny mood 10 minutes ago. But then I've forgotten how I got to it. Has that ever happened to you?
Frequently.
Should we try and get ourselves into a funny mood? Or should we do something else?
Oh, how about we do something else?
Yes, so do I. Should we have a game of cricket?
Well, it's a bit late for cricket. Besides, I'm not really in the mood for that either.
No, nor am I. What are you in the mood for?
I think I'm in the mood for just thinking.
All right. What should we think about?
I vote we think about nothing.
That's a funny thing to think about.
Oh, it's the finest thought in the world.
All right. We'll think about nothing. And the first person to think about something loses.
Hooray!
Hey, that's cheating.
I'm not thinking of anything. Are you thinking of something?
I can't help thinking about things.
Like what, for instance?
Well, funny words. Things are my thoughts. Like knickerbockers.
Let go.
Gnomes. Why, Uncle Guy's hair turned white. Who's going to win on Saturday? Why you're so fond of me? Why are you so fond of me?
I didn't know I was.
Father says you are.
Why on earth did your Uncle Guy's hair turn white?
I don't know. Mother says it was when he was fighting in South Africa. A man got killed right next to him. Gave him such a shock his hair turned white. Do you like me very much?
Oh, so.
You don't love me?
I can take you or leave you.
Then why do you write stories about me?
Because writing about the boy is the next best thing to being one.
Attack!
Major General French.
He's only 4, let's have him.
Who are you?
We're both of 9.
Oh, my poor lamb. Oh, dear. Have you given him anything?
I couldn't get him to take any broth, but he did manage a bit of beef tea. I'm wondering if there's not another coal coming into his eyes. I've never known such a frail child.
Oh, my poor Michael. What is it? What's the matter?
Perhaps if you walked him for a while.
Oh, that's a good idea, yes. Arthur? Would you like to walk Michael a little?
Mother, we're trying to play a game. Attack!
Baden Powell, 12.
Smuts, 5. Now see what you made me go and do. I've lost Smuts, all because you interrupted.
Would you like me to?
Oh. Well, if you just rock him gently in your arms and be loving,
Yes.
he'll be all right.
I know.
This is cavalry. Is it cavalry? Attack.
George!
Mother, we're trying to work.
George, another 5 minutes, then it's bedtime.
Well, all right.
Here.
What about if the pirates capture Peter? Then they could make him walk the plank.
No, they'd never capture Peter.
No, I mean our Peter. Look, we could use this picture of him falling in the lake. Set that Porthos is in it.
Oh, that's terrific.
We could always pretend he was the pirate's
Yes,
captain.
put that on the back. The dog of a pirate has seen us. Oh, wait a minute. If Peter's going to walk the plank, who's going to save him?
Oh no, let's not save him. I think he should be eaten alive by crocodiles or something. You know, nice and slowly.
Well, you mean first his toes and then a leg or two, that sort of thing.
Oh yes.
Hmm.
Could just his dear little head is left bobbing about on the water. Then we could let Porthos jump in and gobble it all up.
Well, it might be a wee bit tricky to photograph. But if it's blood you're after, why don't you and Jack rescue Peter, then capture the pirate captain and make him walk the plank?
I think my idea's better.
Well.
Unless we get Father to be the pirate's captain.
Oh, that's an exquisite idea. The villainous father turned pirate and made to walk the plank by his own flesh and blood. Something rather grand in that notion. Thank you, my boy.
George! Bedtime.
Coming. Will you come up and tell us a story?
No, I really must do some work tonight for a change.
Well, after all the help I've given you.
Good night, Jack.
All right, then I'll compromise. I'll tell you one instead. Yes. Now, this is about a little boy. Not unlike your good self. And he killed his mother and cut out her heart with a penknife. Threw it on the floor. And then he heard his father calling, so he ran to the door. But he'd forgotten about his mother's heart, and he tripped over it and fell. And as he fell, he heard the bleeding heart say, "Art hurt, dear son."
Why did he cut out her heart?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps she was annoying him, you know, the way mothers do.
George, I'm not calling you again.
Come along, George.
Sweet dreams. The Little White Bird. Revise. Thought our games would make me feel a boy again. Has just the opposite effect. Never felt so old as I do today. The queer pleasure it gives me when George tells me to lace up his shoes. Could forgive that boy everything, except his youth and his beautiful, accursed carelessness. Play. The careless boy. Boy who won't grow up. Runs away from pain and death. Is caught wild. End escapes. Is craving for adventure. How George said with a smile, to die must be an awfully big adventure. Appalling courage, but sudden floods of feeling and emotion. All boys grow up, that is their tragedy. Except one. That is his.
With the adventure, Mr. Barrie. Mr. Barrie, why do you look at me, sir?
Look at the time. I hadn't realized it was that late. If you'll excuse me, I think I'll be going to bed.
Yes. Yes, I think I'll be doing the same.
We won't disturb Jimmy. Do you think you'd say good night for us?
Oh, of course. Sleep well, you two.
Good night.
Good night.
White Bird, Chapter 19. When David was 8, we had when David was 6. adventure. It was this. He passed the night with me. We had often talked of it as a possible thing, and at last his mother consented to our having it. For a while, we played with my 2 medals. Then, at 6:25, I placed my hand carelessly on his shoulder, like one a trifle bored by the dull routine of putting my boys to bed, and conducted him to my private chamber. There was an extra bed in it tonight, very near my own, and on the mantelpiece a tumbler of milk. David offered me his foot, as if he had no longer use for it, and I knew by intuition that he expected me to take off his boots. I took them off with all the coolness of an old hand, and then I placed him on my knee and removed his blouse. This was a delightful experience, but I think I remained wonderfully calm until I came somewhat too suddenly to his wee braces, which agitated me profoundly. I do not think it wise to proceed any further with the public disrobing of David. Soon the night nursery was in darkness, but presently I heard a wee voice squeaking at me.
Is it going on now?
Is what?
The adventure?
Yes, David. You're not frightened, are you?
Aren't I, Father?
I don't know.
I don't take up very much room.
Why, David, do you want to come into my bed?
Mother said I wasn't to want it, unless you wanted it first.
It's what I've been wanting all the time, said I. And then without more ado, David flung himself at me. For the rest of the night, he lay next to me, on me, across me.
When George sleeps with me, he usually ends up at the bottom of the bed with his feet on the pillow. Jack's much easier, though.
Sometimes he sleeps with his feet at the bottom of the bed, sometimes on the pillow.
Why are you so fond of George?
Aren't you?
Of course. But I'm his mother.
Never would have guessed that you're not the mothering type.
I was very glad to hear it.
You wear your children like a necklace. George is your brightest pearl. He's so deliciously depraved, so delightfully heartless, just like his mother.
Come on, Mr. Barrie. Cleats all tied up and ready to walk the plank. Father doesn't want to be a pirate, so it's got to be you.
Hey-ho. Beauty! I caught you in your own eye! I'll throw you to the crocodile! Oh, you little pirate! Put you in the net!
I must say, if I were you, I'd live here all the time.
Oh, if it were me, I would. But Jim gets restless after a few days. He can't wait to get back to London.
He seems quite at home to me.
Oh, but he has the boys.
You don't mind, do you? I mean, about the boys.
No, not really. At least it takes his mind off his depressions. I try to help, but there's nothing I can do. I've been married to him 7 years now. Not once have I ever even come close to finding the key. Yet they seem to have found it without even having had to look.
Captain Swarthy, you've been sentenced to walk the Pelonk.
My dear boy, this...
Silence! The Great White Father has spoken. Mother, have you cocked it?
Oh,
Right, you ready? Right, ready.
Back, you puling spawn.
Perfect.
I'll show you now the road to dusty death.
Cardy, Caster! That's not fair, it's not cricket!
Did Sylvia mention that we're thinking of moving from London?
No. Where to?
Well, nothing's been decided yet. We're still in two minds about it. But I've got my eye on a house in Berkhamsted. It's not too far from London, and there's a good school for the boys.
This has nothing to do with Jim, is it?
Good heavens, no. No. No, I've been thinking about it for a long time. And with the boys growing up, I think it'll be much better for them. Taken all in all.
Up he goes. Hope the vultures get him. That's it. He'll be horrible. 3 cheers. Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray! Come on, fella. Hip, hip. Hooray!
Mr. Barrie, how are you, old crop? We're having a very jolly time, and we wish you were here, but I've got a shocking cold. I hope you enjoyed yourself at Black Lake Cottage. Is the new motor car finished yet? I've put Black Lake Cottage in capital letters, because wherever you live must be a very capital place. You must come down soon and see us. Our new baby brother is called Nicholas, but we call him Nico. He is very jolly and squeaks at Michael's canary. He is also very fat. Mother says I was as fat as him when I was a baby. I don't think. Michael has drawn you a picture of a pirate, which is not very like one. How is the play about Peter Pan? Have you finished it yet? I hope you haven't spoilt it with any soppy stuff about girls. From your story listener, George Llewelyn Davies. P.S. I expect a letter.
My dear George, all hail to the 5. I'm still an old crock. Not so bad in the daytime, but that confounded cough is a demon o' nights, and I wonder you don't hear it in Berkhamsted. You are so right. If I don't see you soon, you will have outgrown me in body as well as in mind. Sometimes when I'm walking in the Kensington Gardens with Porthos, I see a vision and I cry, "Hooray! There's George!" And then Porthos barks joyously and we run to the vision, and then it turns out not to be George, but just another boy. And I cry like a water cart, and Porthos hangs his sorrowful tail. As for the play about Peter, methinketh it no great shakes, but it awaits your inspection nonetheless. I fear the odd girl or two has crept in while I had my back turned, but I assure you that they will meet with a cruel fate, unless the devil in Peter steers my pen on a wayward course. I shall be showing it to Mr. Froman, the producer, next month. Wish me luck. Your humble servant, J M B. P.S. Dear George, I'm very fond of you. But don't tell anybody.
My dear Jimmy, all the boys are keeping their fingers crossed for your meeting with Mr. Froman, except my doodle Nico, who prefers to cross his toes. But as Mr. Froman is such a man after your own heart, I'm sure he will love the play. George says that if he doesn't, he will personally come and make him walk the plank.
Good to see you. You're looking fine. Look, sorry I haven't been able to see you earlier, but I've had continuous meetings ever since I arrived. Come on, sit down. Sit down. How have you been keeping?
Oh, pretty much my usual self. No, I could wish I had a lot of other people. I've been a bit under the weather lately with some ailment that only sheep seem to have had before. Mind you, I've always had the sneaky suspicion that I am a sheep.
Look, what are you having?
Yeah, whiskey soda, please. Know thyself, as Descartes used to say.
Well, I think I have something here that might cheer you up. Just came in from New York. Look, you've broken your own record, Jimmy. Opening week for Crichton, 18% up on Quality Street, 22% up on Little Minister. Congratulations.
Very good, yes. Now, what do you think?
Is this the draft you showed to Beerbum Tree?
Hey, well, I read it to him. Said it wasn't very convincing. Rather like Irving's funeral.
Well, Tree was very convincing to me. Cast of 56. Not counting dogs, bears, crocodiles, ostriches, wolves, fairies.
Yes, well, we can talk about them.
Children flying in and out of the scenery. Can we talk about that? Schoolmasters walking the plank. Fathers living in kennels. Crocodiles swallowing alarm clocks. Oh, yes. Yes, then there's Nana. I suppose you want Porthos on stage as well.
Yes, but I showed him the script. It had a most unfortunate effect on him.
Really? What happened?
He died. Listen, if you agree to put it on, I'll give you this other one for nothing. Alice, sit by the fire.
Jimmy,
Hey.
Jimmy, if I like a play, I'll put it on. If you like a play, I'll put it on whether I like it or not. But why are you so anxious to have this play produced?
I don't know, Charles. It's just become a sort of dream child of mine, that's all I do know. I didn't plan it, it just wrote itself. Oh, you don't like it, I can tell.
Sheer madness. Now, first, we can't have real children, of course. I mean, Peter will have to be played by a girl.
Oh, well, if you're going to turn it into a pantomime, then we might as well forget the whole thing.
Jimmy, if I thought it was a pantomime, I wouldn't be interested. You forget, we Americans don't understand your pantomimes. Now, they're your laws, not mine, and the law is that no child under 12 can act on a public stage after 9 p.m. Besides, having Peter played by a girl might give the show an extra oots.
Oots Maud Adams.
Oh, yes, there is one thing I don't like. This title, The Great White Father. Can't we just call it Peter Pan?
Yeah, Peter Pan. Or the boy who couldn't grow up.
Couldn't? Or wouldn't?
Well, don't ask me. I'm only the author.
Yes, but isn't it the point that Peter doesn't want to grow up? Not that he can't. Oh, that's what's so appealing about him.
All right, wouldn't.
George is going to his new school next week, so you will think of me when I have to cut his curls. How he's longing and longing for the moment. My Michael grows more beautiful every day. Oh, Jimmy, we must surely be the happiest family in the world.
Where on earth can they've got to?
I expect they've been held up by the traffic.
It's going to be a night of disasters. I can feel it already. Froman was right. I must have been a half-witted fool to think I could pull it off. It's not even the play I set out to write.
It never is.
If only I'd just had this... Oh, that must be them. God send me a pair of knickerbockers. George.
Hello, Croc. Sorry we're a bit late. How am I looking? Rather nut, don't you think?
Yes, yes. Quite the coming fellow, I shall have to look to my laurels. Is this really Michael?
Of course I'm Michael. Did you escape too?
Hmm?
When we were being chased by that man.
Michael's dreams are as wayward as your own.
Oh, yes. You mean the man that looked like this? But where's Jack and Arthur?
Oh, Arthur's got another of his toothaches. It's rather a bad one, I'm afraid. And well, Jack's going to stay with him.
Ho hum.
No, really, he was so disappointed.
Yes, I'm sure. Well, boys, I don't want to make a speech or anything, but, well, I just want you to know that the play's a failure. It's all your fault.
Why us?
Because you're the real authors. It's nothing to do with me. I just simply rubbed the five of you violently together to get a flame. That's all Peter is. It's just a spark I got from you.
I had nothing to do with Wendy.
No, well, I admit she is a spark from an entirely different quarter, for which I offer my humble apologies.
Ramble on for hours if you give him the chance. Come on, Jim. The executioner awaits.
Hooray!
Yes. Off we go.
Come on, Peter.
Come on. I'm so sorry about Arthur not being able to be here. It's nothing serious, I hope.
No.
We hope.
What's wrong, Peter?
'Tis only pretend, isn't it, Wendy?
Is what pretend?
That I'm their father.
But they are our children, Peter, yours and mine.
But not really.
Not if you don't wish it.
I don't.
What are your exact feelings for me, Peter?
Those of a devoted son, Wendy.
I thought so.
What is it you want me to be?
It's not for a lady to tell.
Excuse me, Mr. Arthur, but it's time for Nico's feed. Would you like something too?
No, thank you, Mary. I don't really feel like it.
I don't wish to speak out of turn, but I do understand how you feel.
Do you, Mary?
Yes, it must be very hard for you sometimes.
One grins and bears it.
Can't be easy for Mrs. Barrie either.
I was referring to the toothache.
I'm sorry if I spoke out of turn.
Who's that? The Redskins were defeated? Wendy and the boys captured by the pirates? I'll rescue her! I'll rescue her! Oh, that's just my medicine. Poisoned? Who could have poisoned it? I promised Wendy I'd take it, and I will as soon as I've sharpened my dagger. Why, Tink, you've drunk my medicine. It was poisoned. And
And you drank it to save my life. But why, Tink? I don't mind dying.
What's the matter? She's dying. But why? Why is she dying?
Listen and you'll find out.
Oh, Tink. Dear Tink, please don't die. Her light is growing faint. And if it goes out, that means she's dead. Her voice is so low I can scarcely tell what she's saying. She says she thinks she might get well again if children believed in fairies. Well, do you believe in fairies? Oh, say quick that you believe. Don't let poor Tinkerbell die. If you believe, clap your hands. That's right, louder. Louder. Oh, you do believe, you do. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mr. Davies, please, don't try and say anything.
Hi, darling. Don't cry.
I'm afraid he can't help it. You see, the tear ducts have had to be removed. I'm afraid the growth has spread somewhat further than we originally diagnosed. Therefore, we've had to remove most of the upper jaw as well as the palate. The result is that Mr. Davies will be unable to speak again. Of course, there is always the possibility of fixing some sort of artificial jaw, but quite frankly, the results are hardly worth the expense.
I'm not interested in the expense. I want Mr. Davies to have the finest medical treatment available, whatever the cost.
Yes, I see.
They've ruined my darling's face.